All right, you are now tuned into the Rotated Views podcast. I am your host, Jimmylee Velez. I'm here with Gabe and Goose.
What up, what up?
Episode 189, our new norm, COVID-19. In this episode, we cover topics that range from social distancing, healthcare, the virus, the stimulus package, and much more. We wrap the episode up with quotes from Vincent van Gogh and Robert Louis Stevenson. Guys, if you're new, thank you for listening. Don't forget to download and subscribe. We drop a new episode every Tuesday morning for your listening pleasure. Kicking things off, how you guys been? It's been about 2 weeks.
Yep.
We are experiencing this pandemic called the coronavirus, and it kind of put everything on hold, and it still is, but we're kind of managing our way through this, unfortunate times and difficult times, and it's made a lot of things very challenging, and, operating our podcast has been, one of them, unfortunately. And as you guys know, if you've been listening, we've had guests every single week. And so it's kind of tough because we kind of plan out about a month to 2 months out with our guests. And so we're kind of basically now we're layering into May month and into June with our guests because we're basically, whoever was supposed to be on this week, we're now putting them out to the end of May. And, it's definitely challenging, but we will get through this. So thank you guys, Goose, Gabe. Thank you guys for making this possible. So basically what we're doing is we're doing this through Zoom. I'm at my home office. Gabe's at his house. And Goose is at his house. So everyone is practicing the appropriate social distancing measures, and we are taking the adequate precautions, right? Playing safe. We're playing our part, but we're still operating. So we got to keep moving. We can't let this hold us down forever. We did have a 2-week, break, which was nice. We ended up, spending time with our families, kind of game planning, me and Gabe going back and forth on how we could figure this out. So we're basically going back to how this whole thing started when we first started having guests. We would use Skype, and here we are. But the guys would be physically in this office here with me. But for the time being, we're all at our own location. So hopefully the quality, the sound quality is up to par. And we do apologize if it's not yet because we're kind of working through this. We did do some testing, and but it's technology. It's really good one day and not so much fun the next. So. Who knows? So we're giving it a shot.
Especially adding all these other extra stuff on top of it now, too.
Yeah, so there might be extra background noise. So it's not it's not going to be probably not our most professional sound, but at least we're still here and we're giving the good content that we typically do. So with that being said, the bad boy that brought us in here is COVID-19. What is the coronavirus? It's the coronavirus disease of 2019. Simply said, COVID-19 is an infectious disease caused by severe acute respiratory syndrome coronavirus 2, SARS-CoV-2. The disease was first identified late 2019 in Wuhan, China, and has since spread globally, resulting in the ongoing 2019 to 2020 coronavirus pandemic. Common symptoms include fever, cough, and shortness of breath. Other symptoms may include muscle pain, sputum production, sore throat, loss of smell, abdomen pain. While the majority of cases result in mild symptoms, some progress to viral pneumonia and multi-organ failure. As of the 1st of April, which is today, the day we're recording, more than 920,000 cases of COVID-19 have been reported in over 200 countries and territories, resulting in approximately 46,000 deaths. More than 193,000 people have recovered. So that was a mouthful, obviously, but we wanted to just break it down. And I mean, I would say unless you're just, sleeping under a rock, you pretty much know what's going on, as it has taken over the world, basically. So, here we are. I know, the first we heard of it, me and Gabe, are both in the healthcare industry, outside the podcast and outside the, the Blessed Lifestyle brand. So I heard it pretty early on.
Yeah.
And it was more of a distant thing though, right? It was just like, this is happening in China. And then all of a sudden it went to Italy, and then it just went so fast that it was like, what's going on?
Yeah. So it went from a couple like, potentially this, and then all of a sudden it was like, everybody got to stay away from each other.
Yeah. And it happened. It escalated quickly. You ever hear that, like the comments, people are like, well, that escalated quickly.
Yes.
That's what COVID-19 did. And obviously, the 19 stands for the year that it was discovered.
Yeah.
And it happened 2019. So, but anyway, it was more in January for us, maybe late December, early January. But when I say minimal, I mean very minimal. It was just mentioned in a meeting, and that was it.
Yeah.
And then it just kept going as the end of December and into February. And we're kind of like looking around like, well, if it's spreading pretty fast, what's happening now? And all of a sudden, all you saw is case after case. So sure. I guess the biggest thing was really the testing, right? There might have been people that had it sooner. We just weren't testing for the coronavirus, right? I mean, you're testing probably for other things. Obviously, you're going to have these common flu symptoms.
Yes.
And so that's what I think the majority of people, if they did have it, thought it was. And then, the testing really wasn't available anyway. So who knows the actual accuracy of the numbers reported. And now, the U.S. has toppled every other country when it comes to every category, from cases to testing positive to deaths. So we are in the middle of it. As of right now speaking, it's April 1st. Supposedly, we have not yet even hit our peak, which is super scary. And apparently over the next 2 weeks, we will hit the peak and then kind of supposedly ride it out. But these are all just predictions. We don't know for certain. Goose, I know you work at a barbershop. You own a barbershop. And you guys always have the TV on and stuff like that. Was that kind of, you guys started hearing about it more like in February, I guess?
Yeah, it was like February-ish when it started, like, obviously where it was huge overseas in like Italy. And, but we never thought it was going to come here. You see a lot of these like third world countries, and they get like some crazy like disasters and like tragedy that happens over there. You would never think it would come that close to home and do it and be as effective as it is right now. Yeah. So we just saw it coming in, like I said, February, and we're like, yeah, it's whatever, it is what it is. It's not gonna come here. And then you're hearing like the original symptoms. Oh, it's just like a cold. And at first, it was like, oh, it only affects like the elderly and the really young and people that have like asthma or real weak immune system. But dude, as it gets closer and closer now, like went through March, like the past 2 weeks in March, we were like forced. The barbershop was forced to shut down by like the governor's request. Like, and for me being in the industry where it's like I'm body on body contact, like I'm cutting someone's head, I'm touching them, like you know what people have. And I already have like an issue with certain people when they come in, like in the years past, when they come in and they have like the sniffles or they have like a little common cold and stuff, and they still come and get a haircut. It kind of gets me frustrated because like I can catch that too. Sure. Yeah. And they're like not really caring about like my feelings or how I'm like, how I can catch it. Whatever. Yeah, exactly. Like, so I've always had like some issues with like stuff like that. And like the younger kids, they come in, their nose runny and like the parents not paying attention. I'm cutting their hair and their nose is like dripping and stuff. Like, dude, I can catch anything. So when it started to like, when I realized it was really serious when they were saying how you can catch this, like this whatever mutation of a cold it is, or whatever you want to call it.
Sure.
It's it kind of honestly it freaked me out. So I just shut the shop down. Like the last few days, we were working at the shop with rubber gloves, mask. Dude, it's like the movies. Like it's weird. It's so strange on how like the whole like social distancing. Like now, like you have to be 6 feet apart when you go to the, if you have to go to the stores. There's like markers everywhere, like 6 feet here. Like step on this X because you'll be 6 feet away from the next person in front of you. Like it's I'm still trying to like fathom the whole thing. Like I can't even like grasp it. Like it's insane how it took over not only like other countries, ours, like the world, really.
Yeah.
And the world is like shut down for this thing. Like now I have to sit at home and do nothing because I'm bored out of my mind for the past 2 weeks. But yeah, it's definitely. I mean, it's affecting the barbershop for sure, and it's affecting a lot of other people, other businesses, like in the health and wellness industry.
Yeah. I know. I like even today when I came home, I came into the house. I was just telling my wife, I'm like, she's the one that was like fanatical about. As soon as you walk in, she would literally Lysol spray everything I had. I would basically run to the garage, get changed, put all my stuff right into the wash right after that. And for some reason, I don't even know why, but I don't know if something happened today where I touched like a doorknob or something that was like, it felt like greasy or slimy. And I got so grossed out that everything today grossed me. I washed my hands about like 500 times. My hands are so dry from washing my hands so many times. And this is like, I just told my wife, I'm like, dude, I'm like losing my mind here. Like I'm obsessing now over this stuff. Because we got 2 little ones, at the house. And it's like, it's not just taking care of yourself. You gotta be, you gotta be mindful for, the people and those around you, kind of how the Goose was talking about, customers not having that awareness. And even if they did have that awareness, it's kind of like, they don't have, his best interest or his barber's best interest, in mind when they bring their kids completely sick. It's just not right. Even for schools and stuff. My wife teaches and she talks about it all the time, parents sending their kids. It's just not fair. And and sometimes you might not know, and it is what it is from rushing around, but there's a lot of cases where you're just exposing them to other kids, and it's just it's tough. It's definitely tough. But yeah, I don't know why this is all happening. They say they know exactly how it started, where it started, right? It is what we can get into all kinds of conspiracy theories on what was it purposely created to limit population and whatever, all this other stuff, or was it something that naturally happened by Mother Nature, or was it really something that was in a bat or in some level of animal and people are eating these animals and it's transferred that way? They can people are saying what it is and other people are speculating what it is. I'm not here to say any of that.
Sure.
I do, however, think I try to lean on to kind of maybe on the more positive side, that maybe this is just Mother Nature reacting to the abuse basically she has been receiving by humanity, and just clearing things out. There's some very powerful images of India pre COVID-19 and post what they're going through. Same thing with China. You should see the pollution in the air is crazy. And then post COVID-19 and his beautiful sky in India. I mean, beautiful. Well, I get, obviously we all have the beautiful sky, but I'm saying like the image was just like a beautiful image of the sky.
Yeah.
Yes, big time, super clean, looked gorgeous. And then kind of the same thing apparently in Italy. Like the rivers are flowing. You could see the bottom. The fish or the swans have returned back. I mean, does this happen? Does this happen every so often? I would say yes, right? I mean, and I'm speaking outside of like the flu and stuff like that.
Sure.
There's all kinds of pandemics that happen throughout. You can trace it throughout history, but even looking further, like looking towards the Bible and the Great Flood, where it wiped out humanity, right? You think about there's fossils of these large, gigantuous dinosaurs at one point that were roaming the earth. They got wiped out. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
So at one point, Mother Nature does some level of correction, and
reset.
It's the reset button, right? And it's just kind of a reaction to I guess whatever living species on there trashing it. Unfortunately, and you basically, I guess, at one point pay the price. Now, I'm not saying that this is the equivalent to any of that, but I'm just saying there's definitely Mother Nature definitely reacts. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
To what's being done on the surface. You know, and I do think that whether this is a small wave or a small example of that, you know what I mean? Or this can turn into something even bigger. We really don't know. But you know, speculation has it that at the end of the day, I really do hope that we learn in a positive way, because to be honest with you, 95% of people were not prepared for this.
Sure.
I mean, physically, emotionally, financially, people are taking like vitamins for the first time in their life. And like, that is funny on one level and not funny on another level. You know what I'm saying? Like, we've really got to take care of ourselves. The other thing is like, you know, it's really tough living paycheck to paycheck. And you know, there's people that weren't even making paycheck to paycheck. There's people who are living paycheck to paycheck. There's people who are kind of getting by, but never really were saving much, you know? And so I'm hoping out of this becomes kind of like a chin check, maybe of some sort, where it's like, all right, we really do need to save for this quote rainy day. We really do need to take care of our bodies and not wait, you know, for the last minute. And there's some level of, you know, kindness that I hope, you know, that really supersedes all of the craziness of this toilet paper fanatical situation that happened. And what I mean by that is today, you know, again, being in the healthcare industry, you know, you're getting prepped for X, Y, and Z, and it's very real, man. And it is knocking on everyone's door. And it's kind of scary. And you know, what was crazy is there's people coming out, there's nurses and doctors coming out of retirement to help, because the overflow in patients in, you know, just you already have, you know, your normal patient base, right? You already have like your normal census of people that are going in that hospital for everything under the sun.
Yes.
Now you add this pandemic on top of it, there's going to be some level of overflow. You're going to be understaffed. You're going to be overpopulated. You can't serve appropriately. And so, you know, they're doing things like opening up stadiums as like pop-up hospitals just to take care of the everyday situations, and so that the hospital can focus on COVID-19 patients and the testing. And now they've created like drive-through testing and it just all kinds of stuff. And out of that, I know, and it seems crazy, and we're still in the beginning stages. I truly do hope we can sit back and, you know, obviously when this is all said and done, and we can, you know, survive this bad boy, we can all have like this, the way the world is talking about COVID-19, the world should be talking about important topics like reflection and thinking about the elderly. You know, this shouldn't be the only time we're thinking about the elderly. You know what I mean? Like, we should be reaching out to our older neighbors anyway, like on a regular basis. Are you good? You need anything? You need me to go to a grocery store with you? We need to be cleaner anyway. We should be using hand sanitizer and washing our hands or whatever it is on a regular basis, and enough with the, you know, whatever they, you know, from your hands and touching our faces. And there's just stuff that you need to take out of this once you strip the negativity from it, that I think is an obligation for future generations, regardless of whatever this, you know, however this takes us or wherever this takes us. My hope is that it puts us in a more positive you know, vein of living.
Sure, absolutely. Because it seems like a lot of stuff is what people should be doing anyway. But now it's like, oh, now you really have to do it just because there's extreme ramifications if you don't actually do this now.
I mean, it just shows like now how much like the changes that will be made. Hopefully, people make these changes in life. It's like for the better. Like, you appreciate certain things now, like like you were saying, like finances. You appreciate now like spending time with their kids because they're at home now more often than normal. It's like even like there's like things with like the last week when I was cutting hair, I was still cutting hair, and they were talking about like everyone should be shut down. now I'm even more cautious. Now I've been more like wearing rubber gloves, like to cut hair. Like there's like little little minor things that like I'm adjusting just due to this whole thing. Like there's more like obviously we're our shop sanitized and stuff. Like now I'm like going above and beyond, which is something that should be on a normal regimen anyway. Sure. So now you're like, all right, this has to be done now. Now it's more. Now I'm prioritizing it into like a more often instead of just kind of like, oh yeah, I'll sanitize that every other day or whatever. Now I'm doing it every day, which I mean, it should be done. It should be done every day anyway. But I feel like there's people more, and then same thing with the home. People are doing the same thing like their home. They're like sanitize their doorknobs. They're doing all this extra stuff. And now it's like with you're at home. Some people aren't getting paid every day. Some people aren't even getting paid at all. So now your finances, you're like, damn, like I should have saved this money. Now when you go back and everything gets rolling, you're gonna appreciate every little dime you make. You're not just gonna blow out and oh yeah, I just need new sneakers because I just scuffed these ones up. Like now everyone's gonna be like more appreciative on everything, like family, friends, your job, finances. I think everyone's gonna open up. Hopefully, people open up their eyes and see like reality, and then kind of look around. Like people are really like dropping like flies because of this whole situation. Like, and even with like your health too, like you were saying, like people were taking vitamins and stuff like that. I used to be like always worried about my health. Past like few years, I kind of fell off of it. But now you realize, like, dude, this stuff can affect like anyone, weak immune system, anyone. So now you want to take vitamins. Now, hopefully, this will just keep me back on track. Like, I take my morning multivitamins. I take everything as a routine now forever. You know, like it's just like like I said, it's like a reset for everyone. I think just to the whole world, like on what's going on and like at home and personal life.
On every important level. On every important level, right? We have tapped into faith more than any other time, that I can remember, basically takes me back to 9/11 is what I think of, is when I saw, the community and a nation come together like that, to, defeat something. And so the faith is restored, right? And then again with like the health, but this is on another level because now you have like the health of the nation and taking care of, people are becoming more aware and more knowledgeable on what should be done in situations like this, having backup, essential supplies, which no one in modern day has outside of the preppers has done, unless you're just a person who just naturally does that. But I'm speaking to like the majority, and then you have people who just completely freak out because there's nothing on the grocery store shelves, and it in itself creates a panic. And then all of a sudden you're going to 5 stores to buy paper towels and toilet paper, and it's like, what are we doing? And then that you could go back to whatever, the survival of the fittest, but I think where we live and how we live is just so different, right? We're not out in the fields, like they were maybe 100,000 years ago or something, and the survival of the fittest meant something else. Where now it's like we have the ability to help each other, and not be that person who's buying 5 years worth of soap and hand sanitizer and toilet paper, leaving nothing. And I saw this happen in front of my eyes, but I'm younger and I figure, I can figure this out. I'll travel wherever I have to travel to supply my family with what we need. But I'm just thinking, like, what about the person who doesn't have the energy or the ability or the physical ability to do that or the financial ability to do that? Like, what happens to those people? And, and I hope that is what triggers something in people's minds, that this is actually bringing us together in a, although it's separating us temporarily, I think we are more connected, in a more positive way. You look around the neighborhoods and people are outside exercising more than ever, right? And so here goes the health thing. And they're associating, or they're communicating with their family members more than ever. On some occasions, maybe more than they ever wanted to, but still, it's changing the way we do. And Goose, as you mentioned, financially, people are, we're all thinking twice. Like, basically, toilet paper almost turned into gold for like a 2-week span.
Yeah.
And so it's like, buying the newest sneaker or car was not important anymore.
Yeah.
All that stuff went right out the window, and all of a sudden the essentials became the most popular thing known to man. And the same thing with, like, you know, celebrities and athletes. All of a sudden their, you know, whatever that was that they had kind of went downgraded like 20 notches and upgraded all truck drivers, healthcare workers, you know, grocery store clerks, and everyone work at, you know, these kinds of essential locations and businesses. And you start to, like, hopefully it brings back like that appreciation. Like, this is the backbone of America. This is the backbone of how we really, you know, like, farmers all of a sudden became, like, you know, the most attractive looking thing, you know, ever. And it was like, man, these guys are geniuses. They live off their own land. Well, isn't that like kind of what we're supposed to be doing? You know what I mean? I just think that we got so comfortable, right? We got so lazy in a sense where we're just so used to just being able to have everything at the click of a button. I can have deodorant delivered to my house. I can have, you know, food delivered to my house. I can, you know what I mean? And it's like, in 2 minutes, I can be at my brother's barbershop and get a haircut because I scheduled it. So it's going to be waiting for me. You know, and it's like, we have all these luxuries and we became soft is really what happened. We just became soft. To the point where you start freaking out about toilet paper. I still can't get over this toilet paper. I think forever I'm going to be scarred with this toilet paper thing, because legitimately,
I don't understand it.
It was just so supposedly. I mean, I don't know. From my understanding, it's somewhat. I believe it started in Australia because when China started shutting down everything, that was their main source of where they got a lot of their products. So then they started basically, you know, panicking or whatever about this whole toilet paper, and it kind of like jumped all over the world, and all of a sudden there's a shortage of toilet paper where there truly wasn't a shortage. It was our supplies is there. It was just a matter of how fast the truckers can actually get it from you know, production. Like, you know,
the selfish, greedy people just buying out the shelves. That's all it really was.
Like, buying everything, the whole stock of everything. There's
a guy behind me. I went to a particular store for, you know, essential items, so to speak. And I, you know, the shelving, there was no toilet paper. So I'm like, oh, whatever. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, we had what we needed and we had some backup, but you know, there were some people, like family members, that didn't. So I was kind of trying to buy stuff for them if I could find it. Anyway, long story short, I get what I needed. I'm just like, oh man, this is nuts. And I'm in line and a guy behind me has 4 cases of toilet paper. Right. And all I'm thinking, I was like, wow, this is, I didn't say anything. It was just the guy behind him says, isn't there a limit? And there was. It was like a 2 whatever thing limit or whatever. He's like, oh yeah. I'm calling my sons. They're coming in now so then his sons were going to come into the grocery store, each grab one and buy it separately. I mean, and so these were the things where people are doing, and there's videos all over. I can't even watch them. You know, just people getting in fights over this stuff. And it's just like, guys, I mean, maybe this is why we're here, because look what we're doing. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's like
it's like they're abusing like things of stuff that's on a normal basis. They were just abusing it, and I feel like every time there's something that goes wrong, like in like America, that's the first thing they go for: eggs, bread, and then and ammo. Like everyone
gun sales at an all-time high.
Yeah, they want to like eat some scrambled eggs with some bread, and then they got a freaking gun right next to them. Like if the world's gonna, like, everyone's gonna just start beating each other up for some odd reason, like, and it's just, I mean, there's situations in other countries and stuff like that, but like I feel like this is the time you should be closer with your neighbor. It is the time you should be like supportive of everyone else, and like you're not. What are you gonna go attack someone for? Why? Because they took 12 rolls of toilet paper and you don't have any? Like, dude, there's better. Like, there's I don't know. It's just, I don't understand the whole thing of like greed. That's just all it is. Everyone's just like kind of greedy and selfish, and like, I'm gonna buy everything that's in stock. I'm gonna buy all the ammo in the world, and then nothing happens. Now what? You're stuck with it. Obviously, that stuff can be resellable, but like, it's just, I don't get the purpose to it though. Like, I don't understand it.
Yeah, dude, it beats me. I'm not sure either. I'm just not. I'm not one of those people. I'm more of like, you know, and again, everyone has like their reasonings for, you know, the actions that they take and the things that they do. But I'm more for how can we be better? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking, we got caught with a left hook and we got dropped.
Yeah.
And the only thing I can think is like, how can I dip that, left hook the next time it comes for me, if I'm in a box, if you're in a fight or whatever. And cause that's what this is at this point. There's lives taken, mainly because of, a virus that hit us that, caught us off guard.
Yeah.
And so how can we prepare to be better? What are the things we can do to avoid such a tragic event like this that we don't have a quick cure for? They're in the middle of coming up with something, but I think it's beyond that. I think it's beyond a vaccination. I think it's more of we need to take care of ourselves, not just physically, but spiritually, mentally, financially, the relationships, tell the person that you've always wanted to tell them that you appreciate them and you love them for, who they are. There's people out there walking around not knowing you appreciate them. And that's just a sad thing. And what if, God forbid that was one of the people that COVID took.
Yeah.
And it's like that, not to get all heavy, but it's true because it's like, we just need to express that more than we do, I think, even to our own family, let alone, a friend from the past.
Sure.
And just reaching out, asking somebody, yo, you good? For the first time, basically in my life, people were reaching out to me, asking me if I'm okay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm like, you never asked me that. And unfortunately, it takes something like this to happen for, and I'm glad that it's happening. But what I want to capture is like, let's not let go of that.
Yeah.
Let's ask each other, are you good more often on a regular basis, on a monthly basis, weekly basis?
Not under the stance of a pandemic.
Right. But maybe so my twist on it is maybe this is what we needed, or we need something like this
to realize to not just take everything for granted.
Yeah,
and we do so often.
And dude, I'm definitely taking this whole thing as a learning curve, dude. It's like so crazy because for me, like going back to the barbershop, like the barbershop is almost like bulletproof to anything, to like any kind of like drought there will ever be in finances. Like I always have work.
Yeah.
And this is the first time where I had to like come to a complete halt stop. Like I can't work. Like, and then me not working, I get commission based, so like I'm not getting paid. Yeah. So like this is the first time like in like I want to say like in history, I don't know as far, but like they're like anyone in my industry is not making any money. Obviously other in cutting hair as far as that.
Yeah.
But like, dude, I thought like my job was like bulletproof. Like I thought I would always, it would never like nothing would ever affect it. Like, and dude, now it's like holy smokes! Like it definitely like it hit me hard. Like I really can't do anything. Like even if I try, like it's not gonna fulfill like my normal like financial needs. Yeah. So like for me, this hit me like all different ways, obviously, but like financially, it's like now I got to be like cautious with every penny I spend. Try to stretch this. We don't know how long this is gonna last. You know what I mean? So like first they said 2 weeks, then they added another 2 weeks. Now it's like a month, probably, and then it might even go longer.
Yeah.
So like, dude, this is like for me, there's like a financial like huge lesson. Like obviously, I had some money saved. Like we're good for the next like few months, whatever. But if it gets worse or like it can kind of turn to like into like a mess for me anyway. But like, thank God I have like a dope town and like a huge supported group, like team, my family. Everyone's like kind of supporting me by like buying gift cards and like same thing like you said. People are texting me like, "Yo, you good? You okay?" Like, dude, there's like people that like I talk to them on a regular, but I didn't know they really cared about how I was really doing. You know what I mean? Like, you just get so caught up in running around. Like for me, I just get caught up. I got a customer in my chair, take care of him. Boom, next person. Boom, and like till now, I just realized how much my clients actually do care about me. They've been reaching out to me. So like that's another like thing I've learned. Like, dude, people really do care when you're in need. Like, people do care like of your situation. They know what you're going through or whatever, or they've probably been there and want to help out. But like, dude, for me, this whole learning thing is like a financial, like huge financial like lesson.
Yeah, and I mean, and I think the you know, there's tons of lessons in this, right? You start to realize, I think it's more of like the appreciation of,
well, yeah.
kind of like what you're saying, like when the money, you know, it's like, you know, you've been riding a gravy train basically for so many years, and it's really, you know, never stopped up until now.
Like no recession would stop me. You know what I mean? Like,
right, it was recession proof. Yeah,
exactly.
Because I remember when all that happened, right?
And I was still good,
and he was still good, and some people were, you know, losing jobs left and right, unemployment at an all-time high, and you know, and Goose was still there, being cutting hair. You know what I mean? It was just crazy. I'm like, wow, this is like, it was recession proof. But now we know that there's a virus out there that can shut everything down.
Yeah.
And it's not even like even like if the electric was yanked, and you know, maybe, you know, you're by a bad storm or something for a few days, this is like weeks on end. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the crazy thing. It's like, holy smokes, this is all on a whole other level. There's so many small businesses, which, you know, again, arguably the backbone of America, that are just facing basically tragic financial times. This week, I mean, the next prediction could literally make or break certain businesses. And you don't want to see that, because we come so far, right? And like, the small business has been just like this little engine that could, and it's finally getting the attention that it deserves. It's finally getting back, you know, into the swing of things. And you have something like this that could possibly wipe a lot of them out.
Yeah.
And some people just getting started. Like me and my wife know, you know, a couple that literally last month opened up a restaurant. And can you imagine how the heck would they even know? Because that takes months on it, or maybe even years on it to plan. So it's not like, oh, I purposely opened up my, you know, restaurant in the middle of a pandemic. So they're getting hit hard. And I know a lot of people are trying to, you know, make adjustments, kind of like where we are, where we can do it virtually, but not every business is like that, right? Like, I can't get a haircut over, you know, this video conference. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of physical work that needs to be done, that kind of, you know, again, is a fuel for, you know, our small economies. Now the government put out a stimulus package, right? And for the U.S., there's all these kinds of, you know, criteria that you meet.
Yeah.
But one of the things, Goose, I want you to kind of talk about this is, you know, what are some of the things that we do have the ability to? So every household, you know, every individual, if you make, you know, past a certain amount or within a certain amount, it's $1,200 check. Couples, you know, married filing jointly, if they make up to a particular amount, they get, you know, a particular, you know, $2,400 or whatever, and $500 for every child or whatever it is, right? Is that sustainable? Do we think that's sustainable, right? I mean, just a one-time check, you know, this already got pushed off a month, right? And so, that's one whole month, right? And so with a one-time payment, Lord knows when it's going to come. I'm just not sure the effectiveness of it, right?
No, I think it's, I mean, it can help, but like, so right now here in Pennsylvania, we're shut down till April 30th, right? Today's April 1st. So I have rent due at the barbershop. I'm renting the space. So if I had no income, it's hard for me to make that payment, right? But like, it's hard for me to tell that my landlord, like, yeah, I can't make a payment. Meanwhile, he has a mortgage. So like, he's trying to do everything to help me out to find like these grants and loans. He's trying to help himself. He's helping himself. He's helping me to help himself. You know what I mean? So then you start seeing like the side of greed on certain people. Like, yeah, it sucks. I'm sorry. Your business doesn't can't be open. Doesn't meet the criteria of staying open as an essential business. I don't know what to tell you, but like, rent's due and I got to pay a mortgage. And I know there's like a lot of stimulus packages for business owners as far as stuff like that. But what I'm saying is like you start seeing the true colors of people.
Sure,
of course.
Like wanting now it's like money's like all right, $1,000 or $1,200 for a household, but like how long per person? I mean, how long can that last? Like I'm pretty sure people have more. Your bills are more than $1,000 a month averagely. So it's like it's hard to say. Like if this lasts like to the end of April, maybe it'll help. But by the looks of it, doesn't. I don't think it's gonna. Yeah. I don't think it's gonna be to the end of April.
Yeah,
and like that, and that's a boost. And obviously, hopefully, people do have some savings and some stuff to help them out. But like you were saying earlier, like people that live paycheck to paycheck, like them getting that $1,000 and this goes on for 2 months, that's not gonna do anything. Yeah. It can, but it's not really gonna fulfill like their needs.
Yeah, it's like a bandage on a gaping wound.
Yeah, it's so hard. Like, and everyone's lifestyle is different. Yes. Like, some people can make $1,000 stretch for a while. Some people that's like a weekend like thing or whatever. Like or like a weekly bill. Like who knows? But yes. It's hard to say like what like the stimulus and stuff out there, like if they're gonna help or not. I mean, hopefully that the purpose is for them to help, and hopefully everyone like learns their lesson and they grow with this whole thing. But yeah, I don't know. And there's a lot, like I said, there's a lot of programs out there that's, for me in the barbershop industry, like the whatever, it's so confusing. There's so many small, like, fine print things and, like,
I can imagine.
Oh, yeah, we'll give it to you. But then there's so many, like, little things, like, underneath that, like, I don't qualify for.
Sure. Like, you
would think they make it seem like, yo, everyone's qualified. Like, just fill out for it. And it's tough, man. It's so hard. You just got to find the right, like, thing that's best for your business or your household.
Yeah, and just the number, right? So $1,200 or whatever it is, $1,200 in New York is different than $1,200 in Alabama.
Yeah, that's what
like
exactly.
Cost of living is different in every single state.
Yes.
And so I'm not sure, and I understand the intention and it's fantastic, but I'm just not sure if that's what was the answer that we need for and I don't know, and maybe because of this, and it might work out. I can't really say because we're literally in the middle of it.
Sure.
But if it does work, then it does work. Now we know for next time, right?
Yeah.
And it's just like we need to have like funding for the next virus. You know what I'm saying? Like, hopefully this creates like a thing where now we have like a savings account over an X, Y, and Z for, and I know there's disaster relief funds and all this other stuff, but it just seemed like we were not prepared. When you have
absolutely not
people on both parties, where you're the Democrat or the Republican, still going back and forth on what X, Y, and Z should be done, and they can't agree, then that means this was not, this was not something that we were prepared for, right? And so that's what I'm saying. And so instead of doing this back and forth last minute, massive amounts, pages of fine print that we have no idea to even go through that the president, there's no way he read the whole thing. And, 900 pages, however long it is, that there's just these little fine print gotchas, so to speak, that's messing us up. And so that's what I mean, that hopefully, whatever comes of that, it's signed, right? And it comes of it. But I think even if, outside of the government, us as a people need to have, kind of like our own disaster relief funds and our own emergency funds, so that we don't have to be so much dependent on the government, and not really, we should be aware now of our cost of living. I mean, this is stuff that everyone should have already had figured out anyway, right? You should have had a pot of money to the side for something like this. You should know that where you live, whether it's New York or Alabama, that $1,200 should take you to, this far, maybe half of a month, not even a quarter of a month. That'll last you a week. I don't know. And that's what I mean. Maybe we should just, on some level, self-preserve ourselves by learning the lessons for this go round, survive it and plan better for the future.
Yeah, I mean, I think like even there are like some positives that come out of it because like banks are giving like all-time low like interest rates on. I know tons of people that are like refinancing their house because it's like they're gonna get like a lower rate. And like I even know someone that works at a bank and like their bank might even stop letting people like like refinance because it's like it's so overwhelming, it's so crazy. Like someone's losing money somewhere somehow, but like as a mortgage holder, you're making out. So like there's certain things that like out of these like tragic things you can always make into some kind of positive and save money in certain areas. But I just think as a whole, like I think the United States, right? We're like one of like the richest richest countries in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like I feel like we're like the worst with money.
Yeah.
Like financially, like the worst with finances. Like it's weird.
Yeah. I mean, listen, that's why I think it's more of it's kind of like self-education, figure the things out for ourselves, lower your, debt to income, ratio, pay things off, knock things out, not be so dependent, on other people, other things, other mechanisms, and become as independent as possible. Be as smart with your finances, smart with your spirituality, smart with your relationships. This put a very high value on a lot of things that we just were not paying attention to. Is this something that, again, I think this happens every once in a while and out of it becomes like the greatest, generations of, that you're going to read in the history books outside of that. But when you're in the middle of it, a lot of that's really hard to see. It's very murky waters that we're kind of operating in. And it's, I just think we just need to generate and inject this whole thing with positivity. Look at what we could have done better, not beat ourselves up too much along the way, and just become a better version of ourselves once this is all said and done. Look, I don't care. Like I said, 95% of the people everybody got caught off guard for how intense this became and how fast it happened.
Yes.
The majority of people were not prepared for this, right?
Yeah.
I mean, even like the preppers, like even the people who are the prepper, like even if you had all the toilet paper in the world and all the food in the world, there's some jobs that they had, they still had an income that they're, you know what I mean? Like waiting on or whatever. And then, there is a percentage that has, the savings stocked up for, a year, 5 years worth of income. And they're, this can happen and they can, jump into their bunker and they're good to go. Right.
Sure.
That number is so little though that the impact is just like the impact is not that's good and everyone can learn from that. But I do think the other way is also true, right? So the people who are most vulnerable, the people who have immunocompromised systems that aren't ready for this or just can't operate under these circumstances, that's what we really got to look towards. And just loving on one another a little bit more. I mean, one of the craziest things is with the school closures for us, because it's almost like everyone obviously appreciates teachers at an all-time high now. You know what I mean, right? Yeah. But beyond that, it's like the childcare thing, because once the school's closed, like that's where your kid was for at least 8 hours or whatever it was.
Yes.
And now they're closed, so they're sent home, and all of a sudden childcare becomes like a disaster because there's this social distancing thing. But then I got to go to work to have, so we have income coming into our home. And so you get caught in this weird pickle that is very interesting to me, because that was something that, dude, I literally legit, I don't think when I talk about something that catches people off guard, shut schools down. Yeah. Holy smokes, because unfortunately, there's a large amount. This is what a lot of people, childcare is one thing. Beyond that, there's something even more devastating than that just kills me. And there's something, we have to do is that those 1 or 2 meals kids get at school are the only 1 or 2 meals they eat all day.
Yeah.
And that's just a terrible stat. You know what I mean? Like, that's just a terrible thing. And especially for the kids, you know what I mean? But we have some really cool people in our area. We have some who are, using their talents. Shout out to Chef Herm. He was on our podcast actually. Because it's just, there's people like that and little local businesses that are donating food, and he's out there day in and day out, like Monday through Friday, making breakfast and lunch that, for free. Anyone can go there and he's feeding the town. I mean, he's creating out crazy stats. He's like, oh, we just served 150 meals, 150 meals.
Wow.
In like a small, 4-hour window. I mean, that's awesome. In a small town. You know what I'm saying? Like, and wow, that's 150 people that we're gonna skip that meal.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and that those are the things that we gotta like really look into, and we have to do something about, because this is crazy to operate under, and definitely not the kids, man. That's, if I have a soft spot, it's that. We have to do better. I don't know, but yeah, the school closures was like this wild. I don't even know what it was. It's like a chain of events that leads into, is like, all right, well, especially if you're an essential employee and you work in the healthcare industry, and you have to show up. Well, where's my kid?
Sure.
What if you're like a single mom or a single dad, and it's like, excuse me, I got to take my kid with me. Where am I taking him if the school shut down, right? And so you kind of hope like what comes from that also is like that also builds the community, like the community outpour on, watching, other people's kids. But the problem with this one is that the whole social distancing thing. So now you're kind of like stuck. And I know they came out with, I guess some quick solutions for that, and are helping out the healthcare industry and other essential employees. But still, I think that was something that caught people off guard. There's most companies have disaster plans, for like bombs and like fires and stuff. What about school closures? Was there ever a plan for that? No, I'm serious. And like, that's like a disaster for most households that have children in that age group. So there's just a lot of things that I think that will come from this, and I'm hoping that they're positive. A lot of good ideas, a lot of planning, getting back to how we should be living, right? Loving on each other, eating good, staying healthy, being active, appreciating work. You know what I'm saying? I've never seen so many people appreciate their jobs more than this whole past, 2-3 weeks it's been. And people said it. They'll just say straight up, like, I 1000% took my job for granted. And even for the people that you, who are still working and have the ability to still work, even them, like, I know even for like myself, I remember just like arriving to work and just being so thankful that I had a job.
Yeah.
And even though I was grateful before, it just took it to a whole other level. You know what I'm saying?
We're still able to be, because obviously me and you in the same industry, different areas, but still it's like we're still able to have a job every single day for the most part. Like we still have something to do, something to actually go to, still have an actual income coming in. It's
funny in it because it's like the things that would typically frustrate you at work don't anymore.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And I was like, man, I hope people can stay like that though. You know what I mean? Like it's just a nice, although, it's a scary time.
Yeah.
But again, I feel like once we get all this situated and we have solutions that are effective, I think it does take humanity to a different level.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, you also think too, is like kind of cynically thinking, is like how quickly is it going to go back to how it was prior to all this?
Right. Well, I know a lot of people are, is impacted folks, hopefully in a deep enough level that they are making some permanent positive changes.
Absolutely.
But yeah, man, I don't know. This is our new norm. It's kind of strange. I know there's certain applications that are catapulting, and they came out with, this at a perfect time where you can have conference calls, video conference calls on your cell phone alone and playing games. And that's how we're doing it now. We're FaceTiming each other, and, just to keep the kids, in the loop of what's going on with their cousins. And their cousins literally live down the street, but, we can't hang out. It's just bizarre. Yeah, I would say me and my wife communicate pretty well, but holy smokes, we communicate on like a highest level of our relationship now more than ever, because you have to talk.
Yeah,
sure. You have to talk about your finances. You have to talk about our spirituality. What are we doing? Are you praying? I hope you're praying, because I'm praying a lot.
Sure.
We got to. This ain't time for us to be arguing, right? So your relationship's growing. You know what I mean? We're talking, hey, I'm involved in groceries out of nowhere. I'm the worst. I used to be the worst. Man, you sent me to the grocery store. We're having Twinkies and donuts and all kinds of junk food. But now it's like, no, we need this, this, and this. Look at the expert. I mean, it's all calculated how it should be. Yeah. And that's how my wife typically operates. But, the grocery store was just not her thing the last 2 weeks, rightfully so.
Especially if you're limited in certain items too, is like you got to really decide what you want from there too. You're really planning stuff.
It's tough. I don't know, but I think that the recommendation for everyone to stay safe, is stay away, stay home if you can. Obviously, you got to go out for the essential items, but I would take this serious. For the folks that are not taking this serious, I'm not going to read that death toll again, but it's sad. And we really do need to play our part, take care of Mother Nature. We got to take care of this earth. We got to take care of each other. We got to take care of ourselves. We got to love on each other a lot more than we were in the past. We got to appreciate, just go outside. The other day I walked outside and truly took in the air and was like, wow, that smells beautiful. And just took it in, and it was just like, man, this is awesome. Like that crisp morning air, and you just like, oh man, it felt good to be alive kind of thing. We got to do that every day, bro. Like this is so limited. The time here is so limited. And we realize that we are finite. We're not, indestructible. I mean, this is something that collapsed right before our eyes. You're not as tough as you think you are. And what a shot to the ego. What a shot to the ego. Yeah. Very humbling. But anyway, before we close things out, do you guys have anything else?
I just want to real quick, just thank everyone that's been supporting small businesses, like my barbershop, people buying, like I said earlier, gift cards, gift certificates, keeping those, just keep purchasing those. They help out. Every little bit helps. I know a couple friends of ours, I've seen them walking down our town, Bristol, Mill Street, going from little small business to small business, buying these gift cards, helping each little business out. Every dime helps. And I appreciate everyone that already has done so. So huge shout out to you guys. And then hopefully this ends sooner than later, sooner than what they think.
Yeah.
And we'll bounce back, and everyone will be a lot stronger than what. Hopefully, everyone will be stronger than what they were when this whole thing started, mentally, physically, and emotionally, every which way. And that's all I got. It's real out there. This is real out there.
Yeah. Huge shout out to all the healthcare workers, all the folks on the front line, all the first responders out there putting in countless hours. We're in this together, man, and we support you. Anything that we can do. I too want to thank everyone who has reached out thus far. Asking questions, reaching out, even on behalf of for my brother as well. I said buying gift cards helps at this time. Everyone playing your part, right? If you're playing your part, you're supporting your local businesses, you're staying safe, you're keeping your distance, you're staying clean, you're washing your hands, just if everyone does their part, we'll get through this. but just the outpour of support for small business has been amazing, and I'm just really proud, actually, of the people that surround us. And so kudos to our towns. Thank you to our towns, because without you guys, none of this would be possible. So, but anyway, with that being said, we do have the Blessed Lifestyle brand just launched shirts related to COVID-19. So make sure you check those out. They're titled "Play Your Part, Stay Away, and Stay Safe." And it's a pretty cool shirt that we designed, and so far I got some really good feedback. So check those out. Blessed.com, BL3SSED.com. Close this bad boy out with a quote from Robert Louis Stevenson. "Don't judge each day by the harvest you reap, but by the seeds you plant." And the second one by the famous Vincent van Gogh. "I would rather die of passion than of boredom." All right, so there you have it, folks, our new norm, COVID-19. In this episode, we cover topics that range from social distancing, healthcare, the virus, the stimulus package, and much more. We wrap the episode up with quotes from Vincent van Gogh and Robert Louis Stevenson. Awesome. Guys, thanks again for joining us. The Rotated Views podcast was produced for self-development purposes. Huge shout out to our sponsors. This episode is brought to you by the Blessed Lifestyle brand. That is BL3SSED.com. Also sponsored by The Motivation Files Unleashed. This motivational mixtape will be your fuel for success. Available on all platforms. Guys, don't forget to visit the website, JimmyleeVelez.com. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Rotated Views. If you have any inquiries or questions, email us at info@JimmyleeVelez.com. On behalf of myself and the rest of the crew, we wish you massive success. Stay blessed.